listening to the LOZ Podcast Network.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the LOZ Podcast Network. I'm your host, Ken Lawler. You might be watching us in the LOZ app. You might be listening to us on KRMS radio every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. The show runs there. We call it the Simulcast. We're excited to have that collaboration going with the radio station. And, you know, this show is primarily, it's all local. It's all about the lake. We talk to business owners. We talk to people around the lake. We talk to realtors. Today, I have my friend, Susan Ebling. She's with RE/MAX, Lake of the Ozarks, the Krantz team. Susan, how you doing?
Hi, Ken. Thanks for having me this morning.
Oh, I love having you on. You know, we go way back. We go back to college days. So I've known Susan for quite a while. But you're my local historian, also at the lake. You have grown up here your whole life. Your family's grown up here. You've seen everything. You know all the stories. You know where the bodies are buried. So,
Indeed. Yes, I do.
and, can you imagine when you were growing up down here and maybe when you were with your parents over at Topsider, back in the day, can you believe, and we thought back then it was crowded. Can you believe what's happened to this lake?
Yes and no. No, would I have ever dreamed back then that this kind of blowing up growth would have happened? No. Did I know that it was going to grow and get bigger? Yeah, I think we all had an inkling, something was going to happen. I just don't think we had any idea that it was going to be what it's turned into.
It's just amazing. And I mean, there's so much going on that's coming into town. I mean, you got potentially 2 casinos. You've got the new amusement park. You've got Bass Pro. I mean, where's everybody going to live?
Well, that's always, as you know, you've been around the lake a long time too. That's always been one of our struggles. Fortunately, now we do have the apartments on Nichols, and there are now, as is typical at the lake, when one person does something, then other people show up to do the same thing. So there's going to be other apartments being built too, I'm sure. The outlet mall is the biggest development. The new outlet mall, the reconstruction or the rebuilding of the outlet mall, or the rebranding, I should say. It's not just going to be an outlet mall now, but that's going to be the biggest project the lake has ever seen, $650 million. And you mentioned Bass Pro, that's going to be their big, shining diamond there. But they've already attracted some other huge names that haven't been released yet because they're, on LOI right now and can't be given. But, that alone is bringing something like 1,600 jobs just for the construction. And then after it's open, it's something like over 3,000 full-time jobs for the lake. So yes, a lot is happening, not including, like you said, the Oasis and all these other things that are going to bring people here, which is awesome. But we need those employees and we need places for them to live. So it's a great time for investors to maybe come down and either start building something or start buying some things and getting ready for that flood to happen.
And even, and the apartment complexes are great and you got to get those in there, but there's a lot of land that's not on the water here that is some opportunities for people to build some first-time home.
Yes.
It's funny because coming from St. Louis, I grew up and it was all subdivisions. That's all you saw. It was subdivisions, subdivisions, subdivisions. You get down here, there's not a lot of subdivisions down here. I mean, there's a couple of, properties that have multiple homes, within, but it's not traditional. You don't see the big subdivisions down here. And I wonder if that's maybe something that needs to come in down here.
There are developers from other areas looking at those options for sure. I've been talking with some for at least 5 years pretty seriously now, several different ones that are, here's the problem with the lake as far as developers coming from, say, St. Louis, Kansas City, or whatever. Our topography is not St. Louis and Kansas City. It's not a flat pancake. And so it takes a little more effort to A, find the land, and then B, develop it and get it just the infrastructure ready to build the houses. So it's a little bit bigger project than people might think, but there are some things happening. There are some neighborhoods, in the works. It doesn't happen overnight, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's coming. And like we said, there was a time when we were down here when you couldn't find milk and bread on Oh, yeah,
Winter.
in the winter time. So,
Yes.
we've surpassed that. Everything's, we've got all the full-time stuff going here, but it is an issue that I think, everybody wants growth. Everybody wants the businesses to come in. They all want the jobs and they want the money, but you got to find a place for everybody to live. Otherwise, you're just stealing from each other. So you've got these, traditional, seasonal places where people go work. Well, then obviously during the winter months, they're not working. So, but if they can have a full-time job year round, which a lot of these jobs are going to be full-time jobs,
Yes.
they're only going to take from the pool of workers that everyone's used to getting in the summer months. So it's just like, there's a lot there.
Well, when I was growing up, you had to leave. Once you got out of school, you went to college, and then after college, you didn't come back because you weren't going to get a full-time job, and you had to go somewhere else to find it. I did come back because I had a full-time job working at my parents' place, but that sort of was the thing. All my friends left because there wasn't full-time year-round employment with benefits and all the things you get in big cities. Now, we have some of those options for people. I mean, you can live here year-round and work here and make money year-round. And like you said, we have all the amenities now. You don't have to leave to go to another town to go to Target, or leave to go to another town to go to the doctor or the hospital. So we have things. We're here. We have the things people need. We need to get them into livable places.
Yeah. And I think that kind of leads into, also what I want to talk about with you, which is, look, there's the lake season. Everybody thinks starts, May 31st, June 1st, that's when it starts. For you guys, for real estate agents, and for people who are looking for properties, it's already started. I mean, you have to be looking now or putting contracts in now if you're going to be closed and have all the work done that you need to get done, or everything everybody does to their new place in time for the season, right? And it's now.
Yeah. I always tell people, first quarter, it's all weather driven at the lake. So people want to be here. They want to be looking. And exactly like you said, they want to find something now, because when you write a contract, you're about 30 days later is when you close. Well, if you buy something now in February and you close in March, that gives you about a month before everybody's going to start voting again. And that's about enough time to get a little bit of work done. If you wait until May, first of all, this time of year, there's a lot less competition for buyers, meaning if you come now to look, you're not competing with the same amount of people that are here kicking tires in April and May. So it's the best time now to come look and have a chance to buy something, negotiate with a seller maybe a little bit, not get in a bidding war with 4 other buyers. And I think people have a misconception that, we're not doing anything November real estate wise, November through March, when in fact, like 25% of the entire lake market sales happen in those months. So there are things happening. It's just not the crazy flood all at once that you see in April and May. And again, a lot of those people are what we call tire kickers. They're looking, but they're not necessarily ready to buy. The people that are usually around this time of year, fall, they're here to buy. They don't want to mess around. And, that's great for sellers. It's also great for agents because, you realize when someone's here now, they're serious about buying, and you're not wasting your time. And there's still plenty of inventory for buyers. Buyers to come see this time of year. It's not like there's nothing on the market. There's plenty of choices, and things are selling. I mean, you'll see daily probably at least 5 to 10 properties go under contract this time of year.
Yeah, which is amazing. And did I hear you say negotiating? Is that back? Are we negotiating again?
Well, after the artificial COVID market where, there was no negotiating happening, as soon as that was over, we went back to more of a normal market, which I appreciate. I get to do my job now and will actually negotiate and advise and do all the things I'm supposed to be doing. And that's back. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't multiple offer situations happening. There definitely are. It's just not every single deal like it was, 2020 through 2022.
And I think a lot of people have been sitting on the sidelines waiting for a little break. Like they, they want a normal market. They want to be able to buy a place, have a little negotiation, feel like they got a deal, feel like something, I mean, people love to still, I think, go out there and negotiate a little bit on their properties. Not that it's going to be like, oh, we're going to throw a, lowball offer at everything, but I think where's the opportunities right now? So if I'm coming to the lake and I want to get my first place, what would you suggest I look at?
Well, a little bit of that depends on the buyer themselves. But, for example, last year, the condo market was pretty stagnant. It wasn't really moving much because of several factors. One, a lot of the HOA dues went sky high because of insurance, and that was nationwide. A lot of them have settled back down, so they're back to being more affordable for people. And I think we're finally seeing the condo market, even now in February, sort of starting to break apart. Some of these condos that sat for a while are now selling, but the prices came down because the sellers are like, we still want to sell. So you've got some opportunities in the condo market, especially for off-water and lakefront. Both of homes, both of those, if you're waiting for those prices to come down, they're not.
They're not.
Those prices coming down, the average price keeps going up, the volume keeps going up on both off-water and lakefront. Of course, most people come to the lake wanting lakefront, or at least lake view with access or something like that. I always tell people, listen, if you're waiting for rates to drop or you're waiting for the prices to come down, you're making a mistake. Ask somebody who bought something last year, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, if they're happy they bought then. And the answer is always yes, because they have appreciated so much up until today, they could sell and make money. So the opportunity is, Ken, buy as soon as you're ready and you can afford to buy, because the prices aren't coming down. They're always going up.
Well, there you have it, guys. Look, that's why we talked to Susan. She has if you need to get a realtor who knows everything about the lake, call Susan Ebling, get her on your team, make sure that you reach out to her. She will get it done. She's consistently the number one realtor at the lake. I see you all the time. You win these awards. I love it. We're so happy to have you affiliated with the podcast and always our friendship for years. I just love having you on, and we'll talk to you again as we get into the spring and kind of get a little more what's going on in the spring from Susan. But thanks again for joining us on the podcast today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ken. It's always awesome to talk to you.
Okay, everybody, we will be right back after these messages.